Hello, everyone. Today I have the most incredible guest, Louise Danielle. Louise is an internet coach, speaker, mind expert, and she has got the most incredible story. Welcome, Louise. Thank you for joining me on Brilliance Speak.
Hi.
It's so nice having you here and seeing you again, and I'm really looking forward to interviewing you. So I'm going to jump into our first question, which is, can you share your story because it's so incredible and what led to you being an international coach, speaker, and mindset expert?
Yes, I certainly can. And I'm so excited to be here having this conversation with you. I'll try and give you the short, condensed version because, as you know, Mark, there's quite a lot to my story and quite a few different, different stages of it. But for me, I think it started when I hit my teens as a young person growing up. Then I didn't realize what was happening, but now, as I look back, there was so much inner turmoil within me. I learned growing up to not like myself very much. I learned that the world was not a nice place, that I was horrible, that all of this kind of stuff that I felt about myself that I believed, and these beliefs cultivated in me as I grew up, and I started to act from that space. And as a result, what was happening internally became an external environment. So my life very quickly in my teens hit a bit of a rocky road. And as a result of that, I looked at the world as a scary place. I believed that people hated me, and I hated the world, and I became a very angry, confused, and just young person that was really in a lot of pain. And as a result of that, I ended up in some situations that weren't the best situations to be in. It quickly led to me actually experiencing a period of homelessness, using alcohol and drugs to numb the internal feelings that I was experiencing, because my way to cope was to switch them off, stop the thoughts, stop the feelings, and it's okay. And that worked for a little while, but it was only for a very short period of time. And so I spent several years battling like this life that I'd created and the things that I was experiencing. And luckily for me, though, I was always aware that it didn't feel quite right, and I could see people around me, I could see situations around me that just didn't fit right with me. And it seemed like wherever I went, I didn't fit in. I didn't fit in with my family. I didn't fit in with this group that I found myself in. Like, I didn't really fit anywhere. When I look back now, I realized that actually I was so disconnected from myself, that it was, I was out of alignment completely. Luckily for me, I never, like I said, I never went too far, and I was able to, at the age of sort of 17, turn my life around. Went back home to my family, got things back on the straight and narrow, and quickly started to notice that when the thoughts quietened down, I actually felt a little bit better about myself. And I started to discover ways that I didn't have to experience so much internal pain and so much internal suffering. And something interesting happened within that process, was that people were then coming to me and saying, I've got my young daughter, or my son is now starting to act out in the way that you acted out. Like, what do I do? How can I help? And I thought, you know what? I know what I needed then. I know what would have helped me. And I'm going to use my experiences that were from a negative time in a positive way to actually help. And so I started doing it, and it was helping. So then in my naivety at that age, I decided that I was going to change every young person's life, and I was going to set something up that would help young people and stop them from experiencing pain and suffering. Ultimately, hi Rachel, I can see all the love hearts, and it's great seeing people jumping on. Ultimately for me, it was like I realized that I could take the experiences that I had and use them in a positive way to help other people to stop them going down the same route, to stop them feeling pain, to help them understand themselves and understand why they're feeling the way that they were. And you know, fortunately for me, I kind of jumped in head first, and I started writing to like the local media and to the MPs and saying, look, hey, I'm going to do something, like I'm going to make a difference. And quickly my story was picked up. And so then I thought, oh, okay, actually I better do something now, because it was like, you know, what are you going to do? And I stumbled upon this thing called mentoring, and did a lot of research on it. And I was like, you know what, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this model of mentoring. I'm going to recruit other people that have been through experiences in their life and turned it around. And together we can go out and start creating a positive ripple effect, being like role models and making a difference to the lives of young people. And within the space of a few short years, I had this like big organization that was sort of, you know, coaching and training loads of volunteers. We had 3 different premises, and it just grew really quickly. And it was during that period I then discovered things like the world of personal development, law of attraction, mindset. And I noticed a lot of what I was learning I was doing, but I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't know why it was working. So some intentionality was kind of coupled into that. And as a result, people would then contact me and say, can you show me how to do what you did? Like, how did you create that success? Because I want to do something similar. So I started coaching. And then I noticed the people that I was working with, it wasn't so much about the strategy, because a lot of them knew what they needed to do. It was the stuff that was going on up here that was really holding them back. And most of my coaching sessions and most of the things that I was working with, and even with the young people and some older, some kind of adults and parents that I was coaching then, I realized that actually it's the internal stuff that keeps us stuck. And so I quickly went down that route, and then transitioned to building my online business. And here I am today. Sort of now, this is what I do. This is what I love, and I get to work with people from all walks of life, from all different backgrounds, and just help them to understand why they think and feel the way they do. Because when you're in a space of understanding, you don't have to go through life suffering with depression and anxiety and stress and all the kind of stuff that gets thrown at us and we get stuck in as we move through our everyday lives. So yeah, I said that was going to be the short version. It was kind of short.
Well, what I'm taking from that, Louise, firstly, how you've mentioned when you change the internal, the external changes, because it's so easy to look at your surroundings and what's going on and think that's the way your reality has to be. But if you focus inwards and work on yourself, everything around you changes. Also, you touched on taking drugs to numb the pain. So many people out there do it, but there are better ways out, and there is always hope at the end of the tunnel. I've done it, you've done it, and it just goes to show that you can work on yourself and make improvements. And also, I think why you're so successful, Louise, from everything what you've been saying, it's all about serving and helping others. And that's what's brought you great success, because you're a giving person, serving people. So you're doing great, great things. I just want to say hello to Rachel, and there's lots of people watching. Hi, Wendy. So can you please share some love for Louise? She's sharing all her knowledge. She's just shared a great story. Please share the broadcast so we can get this great content out to people. So that brings me to my next question. Now, Louise, I've had good and bad mindset, and I know which I prefer. I know when I've got bad mindset, I don't get results. And I know when I've got good mindset, I am unstoppable. So can you just share how a mindset can transform people's lives?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. You touched on so many different things there in what you said. And we tend to go through life, whether it's drugs, whether it's drink, whether it's social media, whether it's gambling, like people, there are so many different things that we turn to in order to change how we feel internally. But often the things that we look at are external things. It's like, I don't want to feel this, so therefore I need to change it, I need to do something different. And you know, we all experience different mindsets, we all experience different emotions, we experience good days, we experience bad days. But I think the thing is that we don't have to stay there. we don't have to stay where we're at. And for me, like my teenage years, I spent a lot of years in that space because I didn't know how to do anything different. I didn't know that there was an option to do something different. And mindset is really, it's not about changing yourself. It's about understanding yourself. Because when you understand why you feel crappy, when you understand why you feel the way that you do, why you're experiencing life in the way that you are, why you're feeling so stressed out and so unhappy, like when you get that, when you understand it, it doesn't have the hold on you that it does when you're just like, oh my God, why is this? I can't cope. Why is this happening to me? So mindset is understanding that everything you're experiencing in life, your experience of life, it comes in, it's an external events happen, people happen, we go into different environments and different places. But what happens is every single one of us processes that experience a little bit differently. Like we all walk around thinking that we're all experiencing the same thing, and often, like when couples argue, for instance, they'll be like, why can't you just understand what I'm saying? And the reason being is because most people can't, because we all have our own internal map of reality. So we have these experiences, these events happen to us, and they come in to us, and we have filters within our minds. This is what mindsets are. Like, to me, mindset is a filter in which your world and your reality is being processed, and we all have different ones. So we have different filters based on our memories, based on the thoughts that come in and out of our mind all of the time, based on the beliefs that we have. And there's so much going on behind the scenes. Most of the time we walk around in life reacting to all of this different stuff. And when you understand a mindset, when you understand that actually the thing that I'm experiencing, it's just being created from my thoughts. Like my thoughts are going through a filter process. They're creating emotions and feelings in my body, and that's what I'm reacting to. It's not the reality of the situation. It's the reality that my mind is telling me is happening, and different things are being fired and wired off in my neural pathways, in my biochemistry, in order for me to feel a certain way, in order for me to have a certain outlook in life. Some people spend a lot of time in an anxious mindset. And what starts off in the mind quickly comes into the body, and then it feels like a real experience. The experience of your mindsets is very real. But somebody who's suffering from anxiety, for instance, their brain is constantly on the verge of the fight, flight, or freeze mode. So everything that happens, they're going to be in a space where they're ready to pounce. So their experience of life, their experience of reality is going to be very different to somebody whose mindset is in a space of gratitude, is in a space of abundance, is in a space of knowing that underneath it all, they are okay. And it's these mindsets that it's not about changing yourself. It's about understanding yourself and understanding other people, and understanding that there are 7 billion people on the planet having 7 billion different thoughts, having 7 billion different experiences, running 7 billion different mindsets. And when we start to understand what it is that's making us feel that way, what it is that's creating and shaping our reality, when we understand how it works, we can then use that to our advantage to create a different experience, to create a different feeling. Because you can't get a physical feeling in your body without having a picture in your mind or a thought. Every picture and every thought that we have within 1/100th of a second, it creates a chemical reaction in us. So when you begin to understand that, you can start using it to create a different experience, to be in a different feeling, to focus your attention on what you want instead of what you don't want. Because most people who are stuck in fear, who are stuck in anxiety, who are stuck in depression, are focused on what they don't want. They're focused on the past, and their body and their experience is coming inside with their mind to create this scary version of the world.
I'm absolutely loving this today, Louise. It resonates with me so much. And again, that goes back to the power of beliefs. Beliefs are so powerful, aren't they, Louise? And also, you touched on a great point about when people are stressed, that gives out the stress hormone in the body, which obviously that's not really going to help you to create the reality you want. So it's about listening to your emotions and trying to really control your emotions better so that you're not always in a negative emotion, and listening to your body and being really careful about your beliefs and your thoughts and your self-talk.
Yeah.
So some great tips there again, Louise. I'm absolutely loving it.
You're welcome.
Can
And I think, just to
everyone...
take that a little bit, sorry, I was going to say, just
No,
to
you
take that a
carry
little
on.
bit further, it's not so much about being careful and needing to control your emotions and needing to control your thoughts, because that's impossible. Like, most people think they are their thoughts. Like, if I said to you, tell me what you're going to think in 10 minutes, like, you can't tell me. If I say, tell me what you're going to think about at 2 o'clock on Friday, we have no idea, absolutely no idea. Like, thoughts come and go all the time. They say we have around 90,000 thoughts every single day. Like, our thoughts, we're always thinking. These thoughts are flowing in and flowing out. And it's not so much that we need to control our thoughts and we need to change our thoughts. It's becoming aware that you are not your thoughts, and thoughts are not instructions. And just because you're thinking a certain way, rather than reacting to the thought and to the emotion that's being created in your body because of the thought, just notice it and just know it's just a thought. It isn't true. Like, if I said to you, like, bring me a belief, this belief that's causing you so many problems, bring it to me in a box, like, show me where it is. You can't see it. If I said, like, brain surgeons can't cut open a brain and find a thought. They can't find a thought there. They're not real. Yet the experience of them is so real, because it's a mental and a physical reaction that we have to them. And yet we live our lives out of these thoughts. Like, we believe these thoughts, we believe these things to come, that they're true. These thoughts are created. We pay attention to these thoughts, and then we wonder why we're scared shitless to do what we want, and we forget that the thought was created in our mind in the first place. So it's just about becoming consciously aware of who you are and who you're not. And if you're finding yourself getting so caught up in your thinking, those cycles, like, you'll probably notice you never just have one bad thought and that's it. You have, like, one bad thought, then you have another one, then you remember this time so and so said that, so that must be true. And we go on this internal journey inside of our minds, but none of it is real. We create these stories and live through these stories. So just by taking the time to start to acknowledge, who am I underneath the thought? Who is it that's hearing the thought? Like, acknowledging it as story, acknowledging it as thought, you'll find that the physical reaction becomes less and less.
So again, it's about being an observer and observing your thoughts. And I think when you start to observe your thoughts, that's a great place to be, because even if they're negative, you are aware that you're not those thoughts. You are being aware that they're just thoughts, what are popping into your mind. And another great point is not being a victim to your reality. You have to try and remember that we create our reality, and we're not a victim to those outside circumstances. So everyone be more aware of the thoughts coming into your mind and start adding in some new, fresh ideas. Can you share some love for Louise? She's sharing some great tips today. Can you share the broadcast? And also, if anyone would like to ask Louise any questions, please type it in and she'll do her best to answer them. So that brings me to my next question. You have built a super successful international coaching business. You're an international speaker. Can you share some tips of coaching and speaking success?
Yes, yeah. So great question. Oh, there's so much I could share. So much I could share on this topic. And the great thing is, the thing about mindset is, it doesn't matter if you're using it to speak. It doesn't matter if you are a coach. It doesn't matter if you're a mom or a dad, or, like, mindset it's human experience. Mindset is human experience. So if you want to create success in any area of your life, if there's a part of your life where you're feeling different to the way that you want to feel, where you're experiencing something different to what you want to experience, this stuff works. So the very first thing is to focus on what it is that you want. Like, what do you want? What do you want? What is the intention behind the speech that you're giving, or the coaching session that you're giving? Like, what is your intention? Because again, most people will focus on what they don't want. When we focus on what we don't want, guess what you're going to get? Guess what you're going to experience? Guess what thoughts are going to pop up for you? More of thoughts of what you don't want. But actually, when we just shift that focus to what is it that I want? Like, what do I want to create? What do I want to experience? What is my intention? That's the very first step to start with. That will put you in a very different mind frame to what could go wrong. Oh my God, I don't know what to say. You know, and the other thing is, so many people spend their life living and walking through everything, through experiences from an internal space. So a lot of us, they go, oh my gosh, what if people don't like me? What am I going to say? What if I don't do it right? What about this? What about that? What if they look at me and judge me? Like, we go inside of our heads. And when we're inside of our heads, it takes us out of that natural flow, that natural instinct, that natural heart-based space. So the second thing that you can do is take your focus and attention from you. I think you mentioned it earlier, and put it on somebody else. Put it on the people that you have the intention for. So asking yourself the question, like, how can I show up and share in the best way for the people that I'm with right now? Whether you're doing a speaking event, whether it is your family that you're having time with, you know, be really present with whoever it is you are with whatever experience it is that you're in. Instead of being in your head, instead of being stuck in your own thoughts, be present in the moment and set your intention. You know, ask, how can I show up and serve more? How can I show up and give? Because when we do that, guess what happens? We start to feel really good. We start to feel better. Like, when we help others, when we inspire others, we inspire ourselves and we lift ourselves up. Our energy rises, our feelings of goodwill rise, and it just allows you to create such a ripple effect. And the way that you view the world will just change so much, will change so much. You know, feelings of gratitude and abundance, and looking at, like, for me, I don't do what I do because of me. Like, I do what I do because it's like, because of you guys, because of everybody else. Because for me, like, I love giving. I absolutely love giving. I love serving because of the way it makes me feel. You know, it makes me feel like I'm living with a bigger purpose, with a bigger intention. And your internal reality and your external reality changes as a result of that. What most people do is they're like, right, I want this thing, but I'm afraid this is going to happen, or I'm afraid that's going to happen. And I don't know if you've ever experienced it, whether it's a speaking event or like money in your business or whatever it is. A lot of people say, this is what I want, but they just can't seem to get the thing that they want. They just can't seem to take the action on the thing that they want. And often what's happening is, unconsciously, there's stuff going on behind the scenes which is preventing them from taking action. There's fears, there's internal doubt. And again, when we take our focus off of us, when we ask ourselves, why am I doing this? Not how do I do this, but why am I doing this? What is my intention? All of that begins to shift, and you start going into a different energy, and you're able to take action steps that you weren't able to take before.
I love that, Louise, because it's just like asking yourself a few simple questions of why it's important and what's your intention. That's really changing your focus and putting the right energy out there. And again, coming back to serving and giving. I've noticed it myself, when you turn it to serving the audience and giving, good always comes back. The universe always gives back. So just some great points there. I just want to say a few hellos. We've got Kelly Kerry saying hello, Susie Parkers, hi Susie, Rachel Ashcroft saying such fabulous content. Please show Louise some love. She's sharing all her wisdom today. Share the broadcast. If you've got any questions, please ask them. So, Louise, you are a mindset expert. You've given us so much wisdom already, but can you just share a few more tips of how people can use mindset to get results in their life?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So I think one of the key things is, again, focus on what it is that you want, and then ask yourself, what am I afraid might happen if I get what I want? And most people will go, I'm not afraid, there's nothing I'm afraid of, I really want it. But actually, you'll find that there'll be some resistance, there'll be some internal resistance, because somewhere within you, probably from a space of memories or from your internal blueprint, there'll have been things that have happened in your life that have now created these things that tell you it's scary to have what you want. So some people say they want to create like an international business. Some people say that they want an amazing relationship. Some people say that they want to be a great speaker, but yet internally, when they were a kid at school, they went to speak in front of the class and they were laughed at and ridiculed. And so that created a loop in their mind that tells them that it's not safe to do that. It's just not safe to do that. So whenever you go to speak, whenever you go to put yourself out there, if somebody has like a client inquiry, for instance, some people will just ignore it or go into resistance or go into fear or go into panic. And they're not able to take those steps. So the first thing is, you know, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Like, what am I afraid of? What am I afraid would happen if I had the thing that I want? What is it that I'm afraid of? Then the next question to ask yourself is, what am I benefiting from by staying where I am and not taking the action towards the thing that I want? And again, consciously, your mind will want to go, well, there's no benefit. I want to change it. But actually, if you sit with it, if you allow yourself to go deeper and ask yourself these questions, you'll start to notice, oh, actually, I get to work less hours. I can do what I want. I'm not accountable to anybody. There's no fear of judgment here and all of this stuff. So, you know, it's about kind of getting really good at understanding you and asking yourself better questions. And also there's little things like when we move our eyes in certain directions, we access certain parts of our brain. So people who have a fear or a phobia, for instance, if it's a fear and a phobia of speaking on a stage, the chances are when they think about that, they'll have like a picture, a big picture that will often be in color. It will be really big. It will feel really real. And sometimes there might be an internal dialogue. So there might be words to go along with that as well. And something that you can do is notice that, like just begin to notice how your experience is created. So if you find yourself going into fear, if you find yourself going into doubt, just stop, pause and think, what am I thinking that's creating this experience? And if you're noticing that you're seeing pictures, if you're noticing there's internal dialogue, you can do little things like get creative and you can make the pictures smaller. You can turn the colors down on the pictures. You can see if you can change the voice of the audio that you're hearing of the thoughts you're thinking, and that will change the feeling. But again, all of this stuff, you can use the opposite. So if this is why visualization is so powerful, because when we visualize something, we really feel it. Most people do it with fear. They don't do it with what they want. They do it with the stuff they don't want, which is why those feelings are so strong. Just start using those things and doing it with what it is that you want. So see the picture of what it is that you want to create, but be open to the experience of creating that along the way. Because when you really start to understand that your reality, everything is just being created through the filters in your mind, through the mindsets that you're running. And if one of those mindsets simply changes and shifts a little bit, your whole experience changes as a result. You know, so there's so many, I could give you so many tips. There's so many things that I want to share. So many things that I want to share. But I think the key thing is just starting to become really mindful of, what is it that I'm thinking and feeling? Like, who am I behind this experience? And watching what it is that's creating your experience. Instead of being so in your thoughts, notice that your thoughts come and go all the time. Your thoughts aren't real. And actually, you have no control over your thoughts. And they have no control over you unless you give them control. The more you focus on certain thoughts, the more you're going to experience that. There's a part of our brain as well. It's called the reticular activating system. This is the part of our brain that's responsible for pattern matching. So it's like for any of you that are like buy a new car, all of a sudden you see people driving those cars everywhere. Or like if somebody close to you falls pregnant, all of a sudden you see pregnant women everywhere, because what's happened is you've had an emotional response to that car, to the experience of someone close to you being pregnant or anything else that may happen. And your reticular activating system has gone, oh, we need to see more of this because this is important to us right now. So your reality is like filtered, literally filtered through that experience. And this happens with people who believe they're lucky, with people that believe they're unlucky. If you're spending your days and you're waking up thinking, oh my God, I hate my life, this is so awful, this experience is horrible, and blah, 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 and so said this, you're going to be waking up and you're going to wake up in the space of fight, flight, or freeze. Your body's going to be producing cortisol Your reticular activating system is going to be programmed to notice more crappy things. So we go through our day and we see more things that mirror and match the experience that we're having internally. And then we go to bed feeling like, oh my God, this was so awful. And we have that experience and it goes through our mind again. And we go to bed like it. And then we wake up the next day and we quickly create, our reality quickly turns into this spiral of thoughts, thinking, feeling. And that is what we begin to see. So if there's something that you want in your life, if there's an area that you want to create more success in, whether it's speaking, whether it's money, whether it's your business, whether it's your relationships, you know, ask yourself, like, what is it that I want? Not what do I not want? What is it that I want? What am I afraid will happen if I have that thing? Like, what's my resistance to having it? What's my comfort of staying where I am and not having that thing that I think I want? How is that experience of reality being created in my mind? Like, what thoughts am I thinking about that thing? Am I thinking, oh my gosh, it's impossible, there's no way that's ever going to happen? Because if that's your thought, like, there's no way I can be a great speaker, there's no way I can create a 6-figure income, guess what you're going to get? It's just not, it's not going to happen. And this isn't about saying, right, you need to go around all day saying these incredible affirmations and tricking yourself into believing that you've got something that you haven't. It's about just becoming consciously aware and saying, what do I want instead? What would I love to happen instead? What would feel good for me right now to experience? And a key as well, something that will instantly change how you feel internally and will start to change what you see externally, is a practice of gratitude. Because when we're in a space of gratitude, when we're in our hearts, when we're in gratitude, when we're looking at things that we're grateful for, our whole energy changes. Literally, our biochemistry changes. Different things are triggered in our mind. So our thoughts change. Our experience of reality changes. And we then draw more of that stuff that we're thankful for to us. And it becomes a very, very different experience of life. Like for me, in my teens, in my teenage years, my experience of life was a scary, painful, hateful one. But my outlook, the things that went on, like my mind was a very, very, very dark place, very dark place. And that then became my external reality. And when your inner world changes, your outer world changes, and everybody notices it, you know, and things just naturally begin to fall away. And you notice that life is happening for you, not to you, because you can never, you know, there's a lot that's said about positive thinking. You need to make sure that you're thinking positively. But again, it's like you can't control your thoughts. You never can. So stop putting all of your time and effort into trying to control your thoughts, and just bring yourself back to, what do I want? What do I want to experience right now? What do I want to feel right now? And noticing how that experience is being created. And then just take the next step after that, the next step after that. You know, so if you want to be a great speaker, what do you need to believe is true in order for that to happen? And if you believe that was true, what actions would you be taking today? What actions would you be taking tomorrow? What place would you be coming from? How would you be showing up for your audience? Who would you be contacting? What kind of stuff would be happening internally? How would you, even down to things like, how would you dress? How would you talk? How would you be showing up? Because the way that all of it is created within our mind, when we start seeing things through a different lens, through a different mindset, everything changes as a result. And what all that mindset is, it's the internal filters, the internal patterns, the way that our reality is created, the way our experience of life is created. When we start asking ourselves different questions, when we start stepping into the actions and the flow and the feelings and the experience of what it is that we want, that will show up. It's the way it works.
I agree totally. You've touched on some amazing content, Louise, as in programming. Everyone is like a tape recorder from birth. We're recording all these negative comments and everything is like programmed into us. But the good thing is with programming, with repetition, it can be changed. And obviously I've had to learn that the hard way, because just like you, I had all those negative things from my past. I had very dark, we've got similar pasts actually, but there is light at the end of the tunnel if you're prepared to do the mindset work, personal development. And I actually loved what you said about you can make small changes, like pictures smaller and change the voice. So a good one that I heard not long back is, when you're having these negative thoughts in your head telling you you're not good enough, change the voice to someone like Donald Duck,
Yeah.
because then if you changed it to like Donald Duck, you're just not going to be taking that voice seriously.
Yeah.
Just some great content of how people can go away, put mindset in their life. You also touched on visualization, which is really important. Self-talk. You've really given some great content. So please share some love for Louise. Share the broadcast. If you've got any questions, please type them in. So that brings me to my next question, Louise. I know you've got so much going on at the moment. Can you tell us what's new for Louise and what you're working on right now?
Oh, great question. Yeah. So for me at the moment, I think my work shifted a little bit from the sense of, I very much used to be, a lot of what I did was about the traditional, if something's not working, change it. If something's not working, change it. And then I look back and I noticed that actually the times that I've had the biggest success for myself, the times that I've had the biggest success for my clients, when they've had the greatest success, is when instead of changing something, they've just gone deeper within themselves. Like they've just gone to that deeper place of understanding, that deeper place of knowing who they are. So for me, like all of the stuff I've learned over the last 10, 11, 12 years of being in the personal development field, of being in this space of running my own business and coaching and mentoring people, I'm in the process of creating some really great training, which is teaching people how to create deeper impact. So helping people to understand why they think and feel the way they do, helping people to understand how their minds work, and actually how do you take that and influence other people's lives in a greater way. Because for me, it's about, like, I do what I do because I believe that if all of us shine a light in the world in a powerful way, but when I have a gorgeous, beautiful experience of my life, everybody around me does. All of my clients do, because I share that. So it's like everybody benefits. So for me, like, I'm just working at the moment in helping people to really shine their light in a much brighter way, to overcome the fear and the doubt and the things that hold them back, and understand that this experience of life that we take so seriously actually really doesn't have much meaning to it other than the one that is created in here. So my mission is just really helping people to understand themselves, to move out of pain and suffering and fear and doubt and anxiety, and into a space of wonder and abundance and endless possibilities. So I've got like a little Facebook group that's happening, and different programs that are going to be launching very soon, and I'm just working with my incredible clients at the moment, and really loving life.
Well, you're super busy, and you forgot to mention you're doing a lot of speaking this year too. I know
Yes.
you're doing a lot of speaking and
Yeah.
lots of coaching, lots of new programs. So you are free to put your Facebook group in the comments. Anyone interested in mindset, working with Louise, do get in touch with her. That brings me to my last question, Louise. Can you share the best way for people to connect with you, to follow you? Can you share links in the comments?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll make sure all the links are in the comments to like my Facebook page and group and things like that. But if people want to reach out to me on Facebook, you absolutely can do. If anyone's got any questions, if there's anything that you're struggling with that you want support, guidance, or resources, or pointing in different directions, please do feel free to reach out and ask. And like you say, I'm speaking at several different events over the next few months as well. So I'll share all of that on my Facebook, and obviously for yourself as well, Mark, and through your sort of incredible group. I'm in the group as well, and I'm just happy to help support people on their journey with wherever they are, and point them in, help them to go in the direction that they want to go in, really.
Well, you're doing great things in the world. You're a real shining light, Louise. I'm glad I met you at Beiju's event. We've really connected. We have calls, and you've really guided me as well with my mindset. So thank you for doing such an amazing job with everything you do. And thank you for being on Brilliant Speaker. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule today, Louise.
You're so welcome. It's been great to be here, and thank you everyone for hopping on. It's been lovely to see all the names pop up and all of the comments pop up. And if anyone's got any questions afterwards, I'll pop back and answer anything that's in the comments.
Thank you everybody for watching. I'll see you next time. Thank you, Louise, for being on Brilliant Speaker. Until next time, bye everyone.